Baby! So the big baby thing over the past couple weeks was this past Saturday, yesterday, my wife and I went to like a full 8-hour-long like baby class, the kind of thing that people typically space over like many weeks, where they go in for like an hour a week. We just did the full binge of it all, and the interesting thing about this, I can say right away, is that you have a class full of pregnant women, many of whom, you know, kind of would like to nap at a certain point in the day or eat, and there weren't really any breaks. We had like a lunch break, but we just kind of were expected to go all the way through and pick up on a lot of information very quick. And the class was incredibly helpful. I learned a bunch of things that I didn't know before. And it was very open and very friendly, and we could just kind of ask questions whenever we felt like it. It was really great being in the class with other people going through a similar thing. One of the women in the class actually had given birth already at that hospital, and she had a C-section, and was basically in the class because she wanted to learn things she hadn't known before and wanted to see if she could do a natural birth this time. And it was so useful to have someone there that had been through a lot of the things that people go through in pregnancy, like a complication where she needed a C-section, and she also wanted to have the epidural, but it took like 40 tries and then didn't work at first. And to have stories like that is very useful and educational. And I learned about things that I didn't know anything about before, even though I've now read, I guess, 1.5 baby books. But I learned about things that I didn't know anything about, like cord blood banking, which is basically an expensive insurance policy you can take for your child, where by not giving all the blood back from the placenta and the umbilical cord at the beginning, if you hold on to that and you keep it in storage over the years, you have those stem cells, and then if something goes wrong with the child later on, like they have a blood cancer or some kind of problem, that becomes an incredibly useful resource for helping them. But there's a very large upfront cost, and then you have to pay for storage over the years. And then you can also argue like, well, they really should be getting all those stem cells back at the beginning, because typically you let all that blood flow back into the baby, and then you cut the cord and all that. So it's a really fascinating thing, and I don't think we're going to do it, A, because it's expensive, and B, because we don't have a high risk of those kinds of things in our family. But yeah, just fascinating to learn about that kind of stuff. We talked about absolutely everything. What was nice was it was very all-encompassing for the whole pregnancy process and the birthing process, and obviously a little bit of the post-process. And so there was everything from what each of us can be doing like during the different stages of labor. We did like massage sessions and figuring out like ways to help relax certain kinds of pains that might come up. We talked about all the different positions that you can give birth, and this hospital actually has some really wonderful resources like a hot tub, which is I didn't even know any hospitals did that. But of course, even if you're not doing a water birth, just the relaxing quality of hot water, jets, and that kind of thing can basically have the same effect as drugs do. So stuff like that is really useful, and again, it was just nice to have that kind of all-encompassing view. We talked about different kinds of psychologies for approaching these different things. We talked about birth plans and what extent to go with that kind of thing. Like she said outright, like, do not go on the internet and find one of those like 15-page things where it's like, we want this incredibly specific thing and this incredibly specific thing, because that's basically going to make a nurse roll her eyes, and you're not going to get that level of detail. But there are certain things that it is good to know a specific thing about. One specific example that was brought up was, there was a woman that knew that she was going to need an IV in a certain arm, so she knew she wanted to be in her left arm because she wanted to use her right arm to like touch the baby as it was coming out. So, certain things like that, there's definitely value in a certain level of specificity. But anyway, just really cool to go to a baby class and learn all that kind of stuff. And most of the other women there were a little bit further along in their pregnancy. They're giving birth at like the end of June or July, and we're late August. So I feel more prepared now, and a lot of that information I think is going to go to good use. So it was money well spent, and yeah, baby coming soon. It's exciting. Woo! And also real quick with baby stuff, as of the last episode, 2 important people in Liz and I's life have given birth to new children. So Danton and Liz. Danton, who was interviewed on this show a while ago, him and Liz gave birth to a healthy boy named Leander at the end of May, and they look beautiful and amazing. And Danton and I have been in touch a little bit talking about the process of that, and how he was surprised how he actually feels now like almost like a weight has been lifted. Like a lot of people talk about suddenly when you have your child, you just feel the weight of the world on your shoulders and all this responsibility. And he actually mentioned that in many ways it was a weight lifted because he didn't feel the anticipation and the anxiety and all the nervousness of like, is this going to work out? What's going to happen? What's this person going to be like that we're going to meet that's going to be a part of our family now? And now he's just able to focus on getting things done. There's more control now in the respect that it's like, okay, here's my wife, here's me, here's our child. We all gotta, you know, stay healthy and go do things. And there's a certain level of agency there, which is really useful. So it's great being able to talk to Danton about things like that. And the other one is my dad's wife's daughter, so my half-sister, who recently just gave birth to another beautiful boy. So boy, and then we're having a boy too. And it's really exciting. You know, we've got a couple other friends coming up that are gonna be giving birth before us. So there's this kind of, it's not really a domino effect, but a well-paced series of births all over just a few months. And I get excited by the thought of, you know, how cool it'll be if all of our kids can be friends and hang out one day and meet each other, and they're all going to be real people, and that's very exciting. And I look forward to, yeah, this entire process. So yeah, baby, good stuff.